Mårten Jonsson.
Woo!
Woo! Freelancer, solo developer, game developer consultant. You've done producer, designer, all kinds of things.
I actually have a slide for that.
Okay, sorry. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, and yes, thank you so much for coming. Hoping there are some people here that can hopefully find this useful and inspiring. So I want to quickly just go over the purpose of the talk and what we are going to be dealing with here. First of all, we're going to be talking about inspiration. We are going to be talking about motivation. We are going to hopefully I'll provide some answers to some questions you might have. And the takeaway you will have with that will be not that. Like, no, that everything screws you over. No. I have no idea what's happening. This is not part of the presentation, by the way.
Issues.
No. You have to do it in Dutch, and that's what it says.
Ah, fuck, that's a problem. Try turning it off and then on again.
Now, Mårten. Use those improv skills.
Nah, that's what minions are for.
Exactly.
So I got a random call yesterday from someone, and he coughed, sneezed, and then hung up. I'm getting so sick of these cold calls. I had a friend visited Paris last week, and he got kidnapped by a group of mimes. They did unspeakable things to him.
You got another one?
It was a storm yesterday. Blew away 1/4 of my roof. Oof. Now you're gonna give me my presentation.
There you go, sorry.
No worries. All right. Did I set the tone? That's totally planned. So where were we? Yes, I want you to take some courage with you. If you are sitting here thinking about, maybe, solo developing is for me. Maybe this will finally be the thing that will get you to actually do it. We'll, of course, take with you some practical knowledge. Like, we're not going to go over in extensive details on how to set up companies, for example, but, where to start at the very least. And hopefully I'll be able to provide some insights into the question, should I do it or not? That makes sense, I hope? Cool. What this talk is not about is that it's not a guide on how to create games. That is an entirely separate thing. You're already here to learn how to make games, so hopefully you should know that by now. Or, I don't know which year you are, you will be learning it. But stay in school, kids, and you will learn how to make games. And who am I then? He was trying to steal my slide there, but that's all good. I'm a game developer, been running my own solo developing company since 2011, not 2011. With about 10 commercial releases there, just started another company in the Netherlands. I'm going to focus on web games. Also been teaching for many years, teaching level design at the Game Assembly and game design at the University in Gothenburg. And I've been a freelance producer for some different companies, most recently at Mojang. So that's my background. But I do feel like it's less important who I am, more of who you are. So during the course of the presentation, do really think about, who am I when I'm asking these questions, when I'm presenting these topics? Am I the kind of person who can do this or who can't do this? It's, game development will reflect who you are as a person will reflect your ability to game develop. Which obviously makes sense, I hope. Also remember, what do you want? What is it you want out of development? Are you getting into development? Or do you want to be a solo developer because you want to make all the money? Yeah, I got some bad news for you. That's probably not the brightest idea. Just think about what it is you want. So we can get started, because it's divided into some different topics, and this is like one of the cool things about working as a solo developer, creativity. And the pros of creativity is you have your freedom. Like, that is it, right? I'm going to be repeating this so many times, by the way, because that is like the main thing about working as a solo developer. You are free to do whatever you want. Vision. When it comes to vision, you can do whatever vision you want. Whatever visions you have, it's all you. It's all for you to put out in the world. There's no one holding you back in that sense. It's all you. Like, whatever you put out, you have the freedom to present yourself to the world as much as you want. Those are the pros. And the cons of being a solo developer, like, it is all on you. Everything, all of it. And that is something you have to be prepared for. Because, with great freedom comes great responsibilities. So that is one thing. No one else will finish your project. If you are sitting alone, you're working on a project. I mean, of course, there are mitigations to all of this, and we will talk about that towards the end. But I mean, these are the initial steps, the ones to really think about. It is all on you, and like, you have to finish your own project. Because, if you plan on to actually release something on the internet, people on the internet are assholes. I mean, this is widely documented, right? Anonymous people, having opinions on your game are, I mean, the game industry would be so beautiful and magical if not for all the gamers. That's a well-known fact. Seriously, though, this is something, actually, you should be warned about this regardless. Like, people on the internet have opinions on things you do. That is something that's going to happen, and someone is going to say something negative at some point. I guarantee it. So be prepared for that. And that can, hurt more if you're alone. Motivation, well, that is a big thing. I mean, it's a big thing regardless. But the pros of motivation is, again, you have your freedom. You are free to do whatever it is that is good for you in this sense. Again, as I said, going to be repeating it often because you have your freedom. That is the main aspect. There's no such thing as a bad idea. You're free to explore whatever you want, whatever motivates you. Like, do that. Find whatever crazy things you have. Put them out. There's no such thing as a bad idea. And one of the benefits I've seen a lot of people do, and it's actually borderline on a practical tip, is like you can run several projects at once. If you're feeling demotivated, start another project then. You can work on simultaneously. It's a very easy thing to do. You're alone. There's no one holding you back. No one is dependent on you to finish something in your project before you switch on to the other one, right? That's nice. That actually is one of the benefits. If you are capable of finishing your project, yeah, there are people laughing, it's just like, that's not going to happen. Every game developer I've ever seen has a folder full of, started project or, unfinished. Okay, is there anyone here who doesn't have that folder?
Just one?
Fair enough. Good, just one. So, I mean, I have two, of course, and that is a general thing as well. That is okay as long as you have the ability to learn on when it's appropriate to abandon a project. That's fine. It's fine to start a project, work for it for a month, and you know what, this isn't going to work. That's cool, but no shame in that. That's actually how you should do it. It's a side note. So, what are the downsides of motivation then? Sometimes it can be kind of hard to remember why you are doing it. And this is a bit of a tricky one, and you do kind of touch upon the psychological side of it in a lot of ways. Keep reminding yourself why you are making games. If you're not continuously releasing, or if you are mid-releasing something, if you have no one else there to push you on, yeah, that can be easy to forget it sometimes. There's absolutely such a thing as a bad idea. Jesus Christ, there are so many bad ideas out there. Obviously, not every idea is a good idea. I'm not going to be the one to tell you what is a good or bad idea. I don't think anyone can. There are plenty of instances where very successful game have pitched to publisher, and then they've gotten a response like, that's a terrible idea. They released it anyway and become huge. So, No one can tell what's a good or bad idea, but yes, there are bad ideas. And again, because I want to repeat that, you actually have to finish projects. You know, can't develop any, can't be a game developer and never finish your actual games. Everyone agree with that? Is there anyone who doesn't agree with that? Good. I'm not going to fight anyone today. Time management. This is one that is fairly important. And the pros of time management, any guesses what that could be? No shit. Okay, but here it does come, and it's honestly, that is the one thing I would say that is a pro about time management, but it is also like the biggest one. You are in full control of your own time, with all the benefits and all the pros and cons that come with it. That also means that time, your time is your most valuable economy. And everything you do have to measure, like, what is my time worth? And that is something that, you know, not everyone thinks about in the beginning. That's fair, but, you know, the longer you're working, you have to think about, is my time worth it? You have a project, you are a solo developer, you want to, you're working on a project, you think it's a commercial product, you think it's going to be good. A friend from school asks you, like, hey, you're really good at this, we're in our student project, could you help us out for like a week doing some assets for this? Get the impulse of saying yes. I'm not saying you shouldn't say yes or no, but you do have to remind us, okay, but what is my time actually worth? Because no one else is. If you work at the grocery store, they know how much it's worth. 150 crowns an hour, or whatever you get nowadays. Like they have a very strict system, but they know how much your time is worth. You have to evaluate that for yourself. Make sense? And for the downsides, you gotta have discipline. And this is where most people fail. And this is where I would say you really do have to look into yourself and see if you have the capacity to do it. Can you alone sit down and actually work on things? Do you have the discipline to do it? Not everyone does. No shame in not doing it either. We're not built differently in that sense. Some people really thrive in a team, need that to produce the best work, and that's all good. I mean, that's also, I'm not here to try to convince anyone to be a solo developer. I'm here to help you if you already thought about it and to see if it is a good fit for you. When you're alone, when you get stuck, you can get really stuck. Like, remember, every time you have to, I don't know, go on Google to find a solution to a problem, you get stuck on code, sometimes you can't find it, and that is time taken away from you. Your most precious economy. You need to be mindful of that. Just something I noticed specifically is like, solo developer, you can get stuck. And again, there are remedies for this, which we will, of course, go into, but keep it in mind. And regardless of which direction you go, remember to keep a healthy lifestyle is actually, a healthy work-life balance is, you know, that's what your doctor's going to say to you anyway. This is not exclusive to solo developing at all. And I mean, a lot of people do it. I did it too. It's like, you start and sit down and like suddenly it is 4 in the morning because you got into a flow, you're working on a project. And that's great when it happens. And it's super okay if that happens every once in a while. Just, you know, don't work an 80-hour work week just because you can and it's your project. That happens sometimes. And again, the whole point is that you have your freedom of your time, right? So yeah, if you choose to do it, cool. But I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna say that's a good advice anyway, right? Keep a healthy work-life balance can be good for your mental health as well, right? And something also, yeah, like something to ask within yourself, am I the kind of person who or will I be just, if I start working on a solo project, will I be crunching nonstop until it's done? Because that's not good for you. Probably not good for the game in the long run either. Finances, everyone's most favorite subject when it comes to game development. Love me some finances. And there are pros and cons of that, of course. You get what you put in. Finances. If there's one thing like being solo developing has taught me at least is like, well, the finances are a lot easier to, you know, calculate. I have my incomes and expenses, and you know that's it. I work at home. I work from home. I don't need an office. Like your needs are less, and anything I do sell, when I sell something, I don't need to. I'm alone. I don't need to sell as many copies to earn a living either. You get what you put in, and that is actually a nice thing. Logistics can sometimes be easier, and this is more of a practical tip than something more specific. Like if you are traveling to conferences, well, a Gotland Conference, etc. Hey, maybe you have a friend who lives in the town you can stay with for a weekend instead, who might be hesitant to take your 8-person team into the living room, you know, stuff like that. You know, maybe you don't mind taking a train a lot longer than some of your peers who would rather fly, whatever. Some of those things, it is just easy because you are one person. That's a bit of a practical thing, I would say. And, you know, unfortunately, there's downsides to finances. True story. The risk is all on you. I mean, that's how it is, right? You get what you put in, but the risk is all on you, especially if you ever reach a point where you start taking like investments deals, or God forbid, like loans, etc. It is going to come back to you, and that is also something to be very aware of. And remember, time is money, and time is the thing you have the most. It's the one thing you have, your precious academy, right? So gotta be sure to mind that. Is there anything there's ever unclear about? Just, you know, raise your hand and ask. Now I want to talk about limitations, because yes, being a solo developer does come with limitations. It does. I'm going to start in the other direction, this one, actually. I'm going to talk about the cons first. Please. To not make it sound, to just not make it sound depressing. It's actually not. That's the thing. And again, these are generalizations, by the way, but usually for solo developers, you are the master of none. You know a lot. You know a lot about something, but very rarely are you the best at anything. Often I've seen solo developers, they have a specialty. They come from a graphic background, come from a coding background, come from an audio background, in my case, for example. It's like, yeah, you are the master of none. You do a lot, but can't do everything. And be aware of that. Tech and tool, also again, highly depending on person. If you're working alone, I mean, choose the tool you know the best. Because, like, if you want to make a game, then go with, I'm going to use Unreal. I've never once used Unreal. That's probably not a good idea. Same what I mentioned earlier, it's like easy to get stuck in things, and that is like you are more limited to the tech you know. Of course, you can always learn something new. Would suggest, like, when you're starting out, learn what you know. Like along, and again, if you have to learn new stuff, then again, taking away time from all the other things you have to do, right? And use general resources. If you're on whatever finance you put in, you get that, etc. But yeah, you are alone in what you have, what you have access to, basically. And that's the boring part. Fun part about limitations is limitations breed creativity. This you can see time and time and time again, without fail. Just because you feel like you're limited, like, oh, we only have, I don't know, I can only do audio in Microsoft built-in recorder. Well, do that then. You can do it. I've seen games built entirely in MS Paint. Really fun. I mean, Thomas was alone. I know it's a cheap example of programming art, but like, use it as an example because it works so well, right? It's like, that's not an artist. That's how the game looks. It's blocks. And it works so well. No better than that. There was a guy, he just made concept art in MS Paint, and it's a humoristic point and click, and he's like, you know what, this actually works with the humor. And like, made very well. It's a game made entirely in Twine. It's like, you can still do it. Like, just limitations breed creativity, then lean into those strengths. Don't be afraid, don't try to overcome them, just lean into it instead. Any discipline, lean into it. It's going to be better for it. And management, and by this I mean like all the small things you have to do around, like PR, branding, just administration, things like that. There's also not the things you want to think about when you're making games, but at some point you're probably going to have to. And again, you have your freedom. Yeah, I do have the freedom to manage it the way you want. No one else would screw it up. For example, you are working a team. You have your Twitter. You feel happy about that. You don't have to wake up the next day that because your collaborators got drunk and tweeted incomprehensible things, which has happened. I couldn't find a good example. This one felt just more on the nose, but that's nice. You are in control of your own brand. You get to show off yourself, everything you are. Of course, that can be a good thing. And I'm talking, don't show off everything. I'm talking metaphorically on social media. But yeah, again, management, branding, PR, etc. You can choose like who you want to be in the game dev world. And what is the downside of that? Well, some very obvious things, and time. Everything you have to do. And I mean, this is something that new studios get told all the time. Like, have you thought about marketing? Have you thought about branding? No, because it takes a lot of time, and time is your most valuable resource, and you want to spend time making your game, right? I know there are people who like doing PR, etc., and those are beautiful people we need more of in the world, actually. But if you're working alone, do remember, like every time you go in and tinker with your website or do a post on social media, yeah, you are taking time away from your development. Sociability. And I mean, don't put all yourself out on social media if you are not a sociable person that can handle it. You absolutely don't have to do this, but I mean, in today's market, no social presence is going to be difficult, right? And if you are working alone, if you are going to working very much uphill if you can't go out and like be sociable, like for example, go to events like this and talk to people. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying it is going to make it more difficult. That is just an unfortunate truth. Nothing to be ashamed if you're not good at it at all. I mean, we're all different. Again, this is something to be aware of. And of course, there's costs. Everything has costs. And we mentioned this with money, and it's very much the same thing. You don't get anything for free. It costs mostly in time, as I mentioned. The thing you have, it costs time, and time costs money. And your time is worth money. How much is up to you? So that is it on like what I feel like is the main concept of working alone. Now, do want to talk a bit on the like mitigation. How do we solve some of these things, and some practical, like pure practical knowledge you can apply as well. Everyone with me so far? Is anything sounding super weird or confusing or? Cool. So let's talk about the social aspect then, because it's definitely a thing. The first thing is like you are not alone. That is honestly one of the most beautiful things about the game industry. It is so full of great people. You are never alone. Like every city, every area has some sort of, there is a community somewhere. Engage in that community. There is a hub. I mean, yes, not in these people, very obvious, there's a game industry here. Like anywhere you can go, you can usually find some sort of indie dev society or something. If it doesn't exist, create it. That's what happened in Gothenburg years ago. Some indie devs started working there. It's like, hey, there's no one connecting us. Let's fix that. So like, do that. That is like you are never alone, and game developers, we help each other. We have each other's backs. So you are never truly alone unless you choose to be. And this is something I think this is the one, this is the topic that I feel that is as close to, this is personal preference, I will be the first to admit. But game jams have saved me a lot of times when working on projects. 'Cause I feel like it is a really good way to get out and meet other developers. B, if you're stuck in you're having issues with creativity, you're having issues with motivation, a game jam is like easily one of the best ways to fix that. Going in and doing something just for the sake of it, just for having fun, really does clear up your mind a lot. So I would absolutely recommend doing game jams. You do as many as few as you want. They're both online, physical, and again, personal preference on that one definitely, but if you haven't tried it, I would highly, highly recommend it. So you are not alone. There is a community there. Engage in the community. Ask the community for help. They will help you. We're game developers, we help each other, right? I saw someone saying that, like, no, I'm going to backstep. No. And mitigation, finances. The most interesting topic, finances. When you are alone, you are in a little more better position to hustle, as they call it. And I can give you an example of something I did once. It was back in Gothenburg. It was during the Wii U era was out. And I had a game, and the engine I was using directly supported the Wii U. Does everyone here know what the Wii U is? I don't know, people are getting younger and younger, I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to release my game on Wii U because it's a couple of hours work for me, and I can do that. But to do that, you needed to have the dev kit, which you buy from Nintendo, which cost like 3,000 euros, 32 kronor. So I mean, that's a lot, and like I'm not gonna that's a lot for me as an indie developer in general, and like that's what I actually expect to kind of earn on the game. So I'm complaining to this problem to put one of the CEOs of one of the bigger companies in Gothenburg, and it says, oh, well, you know what, we're having an office party next week. The representative of Nintendo of Europe is gonna be there. You should talk to him. That's like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, go to the party, introduce myself to him, the representative, and then I wait a little. It's like, okay, no, it looks like he's having fun now. He's had a couple of drinks and he's in a good mood. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him. He's like, oh yeah, how's it going? Good. Like, you know, I fucking love the Wii U. It's like, I have this game, like, man, I would love to release it, but I'm solo developing. The dev kits are so expensive. He's like, don't worry about it, bud. Just email me tomorrow and I'll make sure you get one. I followed up on that and he came through. So I got me my EU dev kit. At least the game did earn I think I earned about 30,000 crowns on it. So for me, it was well worth it. It would not have been worth it if I had to buy it. I don't know if that's a good moral to teach out, but that's what I mean when you can hustle, and it's a little easier if you're alone. Yeah, don't tell anyone I try to get people drunk and scam them. That's not. Blackmail and bribery, that's what you get ahead. Yeah. At some point, you are going to want to set up a company. If you're starting off, if you ever have any intentions of doing anything commercially, do set up a company. In Sweden, ha en enskild firma. Every European country has something similar. And because you are going to need it just practically. It's not as difficult or daunting as anyone says, and Skatteverket actually doesn't know anything about it either, so they're not really going to care. But once you start deducting things, if you actually earn money and want to start deducting things, that makes all the difference. I haven't had a vacation in 10 years, but I've been to a lot of conferences. And I'm not saying tax cheat, I'm just saying there are a lot of gray zones out there. So it makes it easier. It also makes it easier if you're collaborating with people, which is actually another thing I want to do it. If you're working alone, I mean, this is a common practice in the industry. I'm not saying here whether you should or should not do it, but if you collaborate with people, you have a profession, it doesn't matter if you're best friend, always have a written, signed contract with everything you're working on. That is a practical tip. Never work together without having a signed deal. Friendships have ended for less. Yeah, it's just unfortunate truth. Cool. Time and management, how do you mitigate that? Adjust your expectations. That's the biggest one, right? Don't do on 3D MMO crafting simulator on your own. You know, it's not going to work. Probably not going to be very good either. Like if you are alone, if you know your strengths and weaknesses, you know, adjust your expectations. It's kind of like when we keep telling you to scope, and yet you keep failing at scoping. Students here, no one's ever failed in scoping a project here, right? Every company, every major company does all the time. You know, that never goes away. But like, do learn to adjust your expectations. If you're working alone, there are probably some things you are not going to be able to do. You know, if you figure that out in the beginning, will make it easier. I'm not saying don't try it, whatever. But also, for example, if you're just starting out, like I have a game project. I did the first prototype like 2014 or something, like played around, and then I actually shelved it. Like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this game as good as I want it. So I'm going to pause it. Picked it up again, like 2 or 3 years later. Made a new reference, like it's a lot better. Like even tested with some people, like, but still not the vision I have in mind. Third time I picked it up, okay, and now I at least know what I have to do. I've been making it as a 2D game because that's my preference. This should be a 3D game, which means it's going to be a lot harder for me to do alone. I'm pretty sure that's not a game I should do alone. And you know, that's cool. I still have it on the back burner. My Magnus Up, I'm going to release it one day and just be a mega millionaire overnight. We'll wait and see. But yeah, adjust your expectations. Yeah, just learn to scope. Come on. Just learn to scope. I would say, especially if you're a solo developer, at the very least in the beginning, I mean, you don't want to sit and work for like 8 years on the same game. There are solo devs that have done it, but we can't all be concerned as much as we'd like to. At least start small and you know what you're capable of. That makes sense, I hope. And you don't have to do everything at once. That's also something to remember. I've mentioned all these things. You do have to manage some sort of, you do have to manage administration, you do have to manage some sort of social media presence, preferably. I think it's a hard yes. But you don't have to do all of these things as one. Also the beautiful thing about being a solo developer, again, you're in control of your own time, right? It's been the main thing. So choose how to do it. Oh yeah, the most important question of them all. Especially think about what I said now and think about who you are. Should you even be alone? I mean, there's also like there's no right or wrong in either of them. There's no like extra, you're not extra special because you chose to work alone. We're just different people who do our best work in different settings. So, but you know, do really think about that. That's a question you have to have a good answer to before even, you know, considering starting working as a solo developer. And I want to summarize it a little because I do have some. I think this summarizes most of the things anyway. Freedom versus responsibility. That is it. You have your freedom. That is it. That has been my main point. But you have to be able to manage that. If you can't manage, if you can't be responsible with that, that's going to be a problem. Join the community, join your local game community, join the online community, global if you want. Engage in the community. You are, vast majority, there are definitely some people that don't do that, and you know, they're fine either way. That's cool. For the majority of people, I would say that is good advice. And one thing I can also say, find your niche and audience. If you are working alone, your position of interacting with potential audiences is actually a lot easier, and that has been proven in the past too. Like a lot of gamers like that, directing, oh, it's one person. Again, this is why Concerned Ape is like one of the most beloved people in the game industry on that side. Because like, it's one person we know we're getting. Someone asks and you get an answer, you know you're getting the right answer. You know you're getting the answer direct from the developer. People like that, and you know that is a nice thing in every sense, of course. And like, yeah, find your niche, solo development. You're probably not going to make a game that is appealing to everyone, or should you try? Kind of goes back to, I was talking earlier about focusing on your strength and limitations, right? Find what works for you. If you're doing something you love, if you're making a game and feel like, you know, I'm liking this because I'm not seeing anything out there like this, that there's going to be people out there that likes it. Well, the problem's going to be finding them, but yeah, they're definitely there. That is it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Mårten. I will run with the mic.
No.
Do you have any questions?
I want this one.
No, there's not.
Ha, double mic.
Thank you. Yeah, my question is, let's say you have a game and you're about to release it, and you want to release it commercially. My question is, how do you price the game? Should you price the game based on your time or the time of the player playing it? So let's say you have a game that is 2 hours long. Should it be like €1 per hour? Should it be like...
Well, you're asking a question that people have essentially fought battles over at this point.
Yeah.
that is. I mean, that is a really tricky question, and there isn't an answer. I personally hate the whole game time pricing model. You should price it what you think it's worth, while obviously keeping, you know, some look at the market in some sense. You are gonna have to do that. I mean, it's a 2-hour game. Yeah, you probably you're not gonna take €60 for it.
Yeah,
right?
obviously.
I don't think that's the thing. But I mean, I've seen 2-hour games priced from everything between 5 and 20. I think Gone Home, when it came out, took 2-3 hours to complete. I think it was priced at 20 when it was released. Some players complain about it, but I mean, it was still a massive hit. And like, if you price a game at €2-3, then it is often considered shovelware, and actually, like, less people are gonna buy it because assume it's crap. So I honestly just do some see what other games in the similar genre, similar time does, and take it from there. Because there is no concrete answer. There isn't any model for that, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you. When it comes to this, the financial side of things, as a solo developer, you're starting out, imagine you don't have any money, maybe you don't have any more CSN, you need some. How's the landscape of kind of financing for that stage? Like,
I mean,
you know.
that is actually what, I mean, and here we have one of the pros of being a solo developer, actually. I mean, you can take a part-time job, for example. It doesn't have to be game-related. I mean, that's how a lot of people fund their games. I bartended for quite some time. Like when sales were running low, for example, I would say that's the best way to do it. I mean, so many people, you know, they have a day job and then they develop on the side.
What about grants? Are there grants for culture? Like film has that sometimes, where people apply for grants for culture and stuff.
There are grants around Europe. The European Commission does have grants you can apply, but I think you've already had to release some of them. I don't have them on the top of my head, but yes, there are. And if you start a company in Sweden, there is a starta eget bidrag. Does exist as well. So yeah, there are some funding. I couldn't answer you where they are, but if you Google a lot, I'm sure there are guides out there. But yeah, again, like if you fund your first game, again, the pro of being a solo developer, you can manage your own time with that. Yeah. No shame in working part-time while making a game, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering about like what do you think of, or what is your experience of, like perhaps working with a publisher versus being your own publisher?
That's a good question. I have worked with a publisher, and a publisher is how I was able. It's actually how I got started in the first place. Actually, kind of relates to the find your niche audience. Like my main audience has always been in Japan, which is very unusual for Western developer, and that was done by like first game I released. The small game took me 4 months to make, released on my own web page. This was back in 2011. You can't do that anymore, or no one will buy it anyway. I sold like 20 copies. A month later, get an email from a guy who says like, hey, yeah, I'm from this Japanese company. My name is Josh. Our business model is to take Western games we think would do well and localize it to the Japanese market. And we think your game could. Like, are you interested? Like, yeah, sure. What do I have to lose for it? So, I mean, I signed with them as a publisher, and they were absolutely right. I'm still working with them today. I would never have been able to reach that market if not for having them as a publisher. So my experience has been good. Yeah.
Like, what's kind of the difference?
I mean, it depends on the publisher as well. In this case, they didn't fund any of the development, so that makes it easier. All they do is take a cut of that, and then they do market it. I mean, I heard the business has gotten a lot harder. I would recommend going to a talk. I mean, I don't know if there are any on this conference, but in the coming conference, there always talks about how to approach publishers or what's a good publishing deal or not, because it so depends on the publisher. And I know the way the game industry is at this time, there can be a lot of bad deals out there. So it really depends on the publisher, depends on what it is you're asking for. So, I mean, you can absolutely work with a publisher. If you find a good deal and a publisher you want to work with, go for it. That is not, you're not abandoning your solo dev spirit just because you're working with a publisher. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
No, I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, following up on the previous question, if you decide to go on a journey to become your self-published developer, I suppose you take the easiest and most accessible way possible, like deciding to publish on Steam nowadays, or so. What would you recommend to keep in mind, rather apart from keeping your presence in social media, not to be shoved into the algorithm? Into the bottom of it.
Yeah, I wish I had a good answer for that because I suck at that part. So I do kind of rely on my Japanese publishers for those things, which is also why I am developing a new game now alone, and I am going to go look for a publisher because that landscape has been, it gets harder and harder every day. So I can't answer because I'm looking for someone who can help me with that myself. From what I've seen, yeah, you have to be like crazy active on social media. That's it. Put your Steam page up as early as possible. Get wish lists, which is a thing apparently some publishers look at. They won't sign you unless you have reached a specific amount of wish lists on Steam, which is absolute bullshit. Because you can do that without them. You don't need them. But yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, that is grind. That you are gonna have to. You're gonna invest time in being online, being present online. Unless you get very lucky. That happens sometimes too.
Any final question?
I'm a bit unsure how to format it, but basically, there's some people that say that you can do a few quick games, a few small games, and put them up and kind of have them just laying there as a backlog while developing what you're actually really passionate about. Like some, of course, projects you like, but do some small things, put them up, and then work on the thing you really want to work on. What is your thoughts about that, and what do you recommend in that vein?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a bad approach, actually. Like, do you mean just have small things to work on and then release them, or work on multiple things at the same time?
Both. So starting out, maybe you have like a part-time job, and then you do, instead of working on a big project like you said, Concertate, they made a huge thing. Do something small, get it out. Do something small, get it out. Maybe at the same time as you're working on your actual big passion project.
I would actually say that depends on who you are. Personally, yes, I would actually go for that approach. I'm literally doing that now. I have a bigger project I'm working on. It's going to take me a year or two to complete. And while I'm doing that, I'm also doing small web games, because their turnaround time on those are like 2-3 months, and you release them. So I'm literally doing that now, and I feel like it does work. Because like if you invest 2 years, 100% of your free game dev time into your big project, and it can fail. Indie games fail every day. That's a lot of time gone, right? If you have done small things on the side, maybe the loss isn't as huge, and you avoid those things like running out of motivation for the one game, because you can't switch over to something else. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad approach at all.
Following up with that, is there anything you need to like watch out for with publishers, with any contractors or whatever, in regards to that? Can you be locked to a project or something?
Yeah, I'm not the expert on publishing contracts. There are people that are. I'm sure there are talks available on that subject. I'm not the right person to answer that, but I'm pretty sure you could Google talks about that. But if they pay you money up front, and want to own every right to the game afterwards, and you're not getting money until they have recouped their losses, and they can inflate whatever their cost was up to how long it was. Basically, if you ever get a publisher deal, try to get someone who is more an expert on those things to take a look at the contract. We have people like Henrik, for example, who works and stuff like that. It's I would ask you if I were ever in a situation, hey, does this contract look good?
I would laugh at you.
Yeah, okay, but you get my point.
Yes.
There are people who specifically work with things like this.
Yeah, where do you find those? Is it lawyers? Is it what?
I found my guy in the bathroom in a bar somewhere. On LinkedIn. They're on LinkedIn. Join LinkedIn, by the way. If you don't have your LinkedIn, if I can start your LinkedIn, feel free to add me, by the way.
Follow the Department of Game Design.
But so if you want to start yourself, you maybe aren't the best at the legal or financial aspect. You don't know anyone.
No, I don't.
Is it recommended to make the investment to actually go and talk to maybe a legal or financial expert?
I mean, no, you don't have to start making. You don't have to know anything about legal finance to start making your game. Absolutely not. And Sweden, you automatically get copyright protected anyway, so that's good. I mean, if you are in a position where you are pitching to a publisher and the publisher offers you a lot of money, have it reviewed by someone. It's probably worth it. 9 out of 10 times, it'd probably be worth it.
Just to one thing practical. In some cities in Sweden, I haven't still researched in Gotland, but I know Uppsala has this. In the public library, they have a lawyer that you can talk to for free if you want to get advice.
It's awesome.
Maybe also here, I'm not sure about Gotland, but Uppsala does it, Stockholm, so just Google free legal advice, and
There are lawyers within the game industry that they're also happy to give advice to newcomers. You can get them a half-hour consultation. That's what I said. Especially in the game industry, we take care of each other. Anyone's going to help you.
Time for one final question.
Cool. You already know everything. That's perfect.
Nice. Thank you so much, Mårten.
Thank you.